Just $1.
It's $1.
So there has been a lot of stuff going on that we do want to talk about. We want to address. We got a couple videos to review and react to. We like to have fun, but some of the content is actually some serious stuff we want to address too. But we have fun too out here. So one of the main things that was kind of brought to our attention that was really unsettling was Nick Cannon, man. So kind of tell us what Nick Cannon.
My man,
Brother Cannon.
Brother Cannon.
My brother Cannon.
Brother Cannon
got canceled for his statements.
Yes.
That he had made on a podcast.
His own podcast, his own platform.
Yeah, his own podcast that I did not know about until like today, because we was filming the podcast and we brushing up on stuff because I wasn't aware, because there's so much shit been happening, man.
A lot, yes.
And I heard about the Nick Cannon because he kind of released like a little statement on Facebook that I read.
Yeah.
Stating his relationship with Viacom and how he been there for like 20 years. And that was kind of like his main thing.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah.
20 years with Viacom, and they kind of let him go because of the statements that he had made on the podcast. He said something like along the lines of, I don't know what he said in the podcast. We was looking at it, trying to find what he said. But every video that we found, people just reacted to it. Instead of finding the audio.
Yes.
Do you know what he said?
So all right. So I'm not saying it verbatim, but from the main message where a lot of things was going on, he was on his podcast and he was talking about melanin. He was talking about the people of melanin being the true Jews. And he was also saying that I think he might have said white people were savages somewhere in there, but I don't know exactly how I would have said. I did see clips, and like he said, sometimes it's hard to find it because it's just everyone's just
that reaction
to it.
Somebody reacted to it, and then they actually showed the audio clip, and that's what he had said. He was talking a little bit about melanin skin, and then he had talked about how some white people, they fear us because of the qualities that we have that they don't possess, and basically it was along the lines of like they're savages and things of that nature.
I mean, and my thing is like, I'm not here to say who's better or who's not, but the way Nick conducts himself, he's not. He's never came off racist to me. Like, he's always been diverse, and the jobs that he's put out, the content that he's put out. So to me, a lot of things I feel like it really kind of got blown out of proportion, right? And that comes from people not wanting to get an understanding, but just taking the words. No one's perfect. Like, you can actually say something and like, oh, that's not actually what I meant. It just delivered. It came out that way. I can't say whether it's this or that. But what I can say is we need to get to the point where let's ask them about the comments that we made before we make a statement. We can't. You always feel like they feel like I'm nice and political, but I'm being honest.
One thing is crazy though is like Viacom, like they like pulled the plug on him so quick.
After 20 years, he got pulled the plug in it, and it wasn't on his platform, and that was the thing that was kind of disheartening.
Well, yeah, that.
No. What's that?
Well, he basically has said that that he's not worth much if they're willing to pull the plug on him that quick, which is kind of crazy. And it's also like, I don't know, it just seems kind of fishy. He's probably touching on things that they don't want him to necessarily talk about because of the platform that he has. I have a feeling that's kind of the reason why they pulled the plug on him so quickly.
And he speaks on a lot of things.
Because that was a quick reaction.
Like, even the Nipsey Hussle thing, like Dr. CB, he's been talking about a lot, stuff with that, and they feel like there's a lot of conspiracies dealing with that, and they don't want that messages out. But Nick Cannon does expose a lot of things, and absolutely. I'm not here to debate Jewish and this and the savages, but looking back at it, he's really trying to teach somewhat history. Like, Jews came from Egypt. Egypt is in Africa, so the original Jews are African. But so I think we should get more insight before we cancel him, but just to see like someone have 20 years with a company. And we've seen literally people stay crazier and like straight up racist work. Like it can't be no misinterpretation. They still have a job or they might get a week suspension. He got fired from everything after working with them for 20 years.
The canceling is real right now.
It's something that he said on the podcast, a different platform.
The canceling is real.
But you know what was crazy to me? How do you feel about his apology? Because he put out an apology after the situation.
You're just going back. You're basically saying that everything that you had said in the podcast, you're throwing that all away. And that's some of it was useful information. And you shouldn't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that to yourself. You shouldn't go on Twitter and say the things that you said. For what? What are you apologizing for? If that's how you feel, we're living in a certain time, an era where like the sensitivity is like through the roof. Like you can't say nothing without somebody feeling offended.
And partly, I feel like that's why he kind of apologized, right? Because everyone's offended. I think he more is apologizing like if you were truly hurt by these statements, then I wasn't trying, because they say he was anti-Semitic, right? Yeah. Like, that's basically what, like, a Nazi is, right? Coming to it. And they're saying that's how he is. So he's saying, I don't want my words to be interpreted that way.
They called him a Nazi!
And it's crazy.
You know?
But honestly, I feel like he's really trying to address apologize for the fact if you took it the wrong way. I don't really think he's backtracking what he's saying, but maybe the delivery of this is not what he meant by that. You know, he's trying to drop some history because I don't think he's really.
But that's why you have to dig deep before you just go off of what he said. Dig into what he's saying, and then make your decision based off that. Don't just react and Viacom and just cut him the hell off based off what he said. Understand what he's trying to say. That's the problem with the nation right now. That's why it's so divided how it is, because one side is saying this, the other side is saying that. Nobody wants to come to common ground. And let me see how you really feel about this. Well, why do you feel about this? Nobody wants to ask questions. Everybody just wants to react instead of asking questions.
And it's crazy because even now on Twitter, right? So he posts a few things like, I hurt an entire community and it paid me to my core. I thought it couldn't get any worse. Then I watched my own community turn on me and call me a sellout for apologizing. Good night. Enjoy Earth.
Enjoy Earth.
And then his next one, an hour later, is y'all can have this planet. I'm out.
Y'all can have this planet. I'm out.
Like, to me, I don't know. That sounds like a setup. I feel like there's a lot of conspiracies out there.
Of course.
That sound crazy. Like, they're destroying this character. Nick Cannon never really seemed like a suicidal person to me. So it's just kind of weird to see this. You know what I'm saying?
You never know what goes on behind closed doors and what's going on with him and that company. Like that's why I mentioned the fact that they pulled the plug on him so quickly. He probably knows a lot of things that shouldn't be talked about. And
Yeah. No, facts, but keep your eye on that. Don't just believe everything that's out. Do your research, because that sounds a little crazy, man. But definitely that whole Nick Cannon
situation.
Cancel Cannon! Yeah, we canceling the whole cancel culture, so that's cancel that. That's facts right there.
Yeah. We gotta show love first like a podcast. Put the work in, trying to make it last. Seen enough deaths, I don't need no more. It's like our nation trying to start a civil war. We gotta show love first like a podcast. Put the work in, trying to make it last. Seen enough deaths, I don't need no more. It's like our nation trying to start a civil war.
Black, Latin, Indian, Asian, and white. Whole lives matter, but let's get it right. There's a specific group of people needing help right now. All lives matter, yeah, no, calm down. So can we get together, stop the hurting right now? It's getting too political now. If you had enough of it, then stop with the blackouts and the non-support, and push focuses on businesses we should support. Shouldn't have to force to get together like community. Only get together the eulogies. We killing ourselves, fatality. Ain't no actuality. We killing ourselves more than police do. We need to come together as a people.
We gotta show love first like our podcast. Put the work in, trying to make it